Tailgate Topics and Tips. I'm Spencer McDonald. In this episode of Tailgate Topics and Tips, we're going to talk about following distance. If you're involved in a rear-end collision and you're the car to the rear, you will almost certainly be held responsible for this crash. That's going to affect your insurance. Not even thinking about the possibility of injury, the inconvenience of getting your car repaired. So, how do we avoid rear-end collisions? Well, rear-end collisions are almost all avoidable by maintaining a safe following distance. But what actually is a safe following distance, and how do we figure that out? I've heard a lot of myths about how to figure out following distance, and one of the biggest ones is counting car lengths. Well, how long is a car anyway? Should you choose a long car or a short car? How many seconds should you count, and how do you estimate the number of seconds for the speed and make that calculation change? It's just not viable. It doesn't work. The only truly accurate way to calculate following distance is by using the time interval formula. And how that works is by choosing a fixed object ahead of you. When the car in front of you passes that fixed object, you begin to count seconds. 1001, 1002. The number of seconds you count between the time the car in front passes that object and when you reach it is the time interval that you have as a following distance. What is a safe following distance? Well, under the very best of conditions, 2 seconds is your absolute minimum. Generally speaking, 3 is better. So let's watch for a second how we would do this on a highway. We notice ahead, the car in front passes that overpass, and we begin to count. 1001, 1002, 1003. We've reached that overpass in more than 2 seconds. In fact, right around 3 seconds. So we have a safe following distance under these conditions. There are several really good reasons for maintaining a safe following distance, but the most important one is stopping distance. Well, following distance gives you the time to stop when the vehicle in front of you slows or stops. And stopping distance is a combination. Reaction distance is the distance that you travel from the time you identify a problem right up until the time you move your foot to the brake pedal and activate the brakes. Braking distance is the distance that then takes the vehicle to stop after the brakes have been applied. If you're following too close, you'll use up too much distance simply reacting to the vehicle in front's decrease in speed to the point where you are assured of hitting them. Doesn't matter how good a driver you are. You will hit that vehicle in front once you use up that distance. A proper following distance also allows you the comfort of taking your eyes off that vehicle in front of you and looking well down the road to scan for hazards. If you're too close, you have to watch the taillights of that vehicle in front of you all the time to make sure that you can stop if they put on the brakes. So keeping a good following distance gives you the luxury of staying well back and looking well ahead. When you maintain a safe following distance, you're able to brake more gradually and slow more gradually, giving the fellow behind you more time to react and reducing the chance of him running into you. So that extra distance actually protects you from being rear-ended. Too often, groups of vehicles follow each other too closely on the highway. This often results in chain reaction crashes, which can be horrific and deadly. Now, I've heard the arguments. You're saying, Spencer, if I leave too much room in front of me, the guy is going to pull in there and cut me off every time. Well, you know something. If you think about it, following close enough to prevent that is just plain dangerous. You have to get within a car length of the vehicle in front to discourage that guy cutting in. But the truth is, even when a vehicle moves in front of you because you've left a good gap, what are you losing? You back off that extra 2 seconds and you've lost 2 seconds. 2 seconds. How many people have to pull in front of you on your commute to work or home to cost you any amount of real time? And is that time worth the danger of following too close? It just doesn't make sense. My advice to you is leave a good space and invite people in. The chances are that guy who's moving in front of you is hopping through lanes to get through traffic faster, and he's just going to move away anyway. Under some conditions, you should leave even more following distance. Certainly, when visibility is poor, you must leave more following distance. If weather conditions deteriorate, and you're driving on a wet road or a slippery road, much more following distance needs to be left. If your condition deteriorates, if you're tired, you should leave much more following distance, or for some of us who are aging, our eyesight changes over time and we need to leave more following distance to give ourselves more time to react. As traffic gets heavier, you should also leave more following distance. So here's my practical challenge to you. Today when you're driving, try leaving at least 2 seconds between you and the car in front under ideal conditions, minimum, all the time. Notice if people pull in front of you, and notice when they pull back out again. Notice, as you're following with a much greater following distance, how easy it is to look further ahead, down the road, identify hazards in advance. Talk about this at the next safety meeting, and I'm sure you're going to find that both you and your co-workers really like leaving a greater following distance. So that's it for this episode of Tailgate Topics and Tips. I'm Spencer McDonald reminding you, it's all about attitude.